This is triangle congruence day 2. So we're going to keep doing what we were doing before. We're going to just add 2 more little properties to our toolbox in order to prove that triangles are congruent by any of the 5 ways. So reflexive property, we talked about this a little bit on our blue card. Reflexive property is any shared side. So I'm looking for a shared side between the 2 triangles. Doesn't mean they overlap, like overlapping is different. These ones are just sharing a side, and when they share a side, we're going to be able to use reflexive. What that means is since both triangles use that side, then that side has to be equal between them. So what I mean by that is when that side is shared, I could split the 2 triangles apart, and they both have that side, so that is like an automatic win. I'm putting tick marks on that, that's what that is. So when they share a side, you already know that that side is going to be equal for both of them because it's the same on both triangle. So it's really just like a side is equal or congruent to itself, which is kind of weird, but that's how you explain it in terms of like, if I separated these 2 triangles, they share that side, so I know it's the same measure from top to bottom. Vertical angles, we have done this before, so vertical angles are congruent. I'll give you a picture one more time. They look like this. They're kind of at an X, or they point to each other. And the addition of these 2 things is going to kind of open up a whole bunch more triangles that we can talk about. So here is our first set. So it looks like I've got an angle here matched up to an angle, and this one with 2 marks is another angle. And I don't have any tick marks anywhere, so I don't know anything about these sides. They're not sharing a side. None of these sides touch. The only place they touch is right there. And they make an X shape. So that means I've got my vertical angles. I'm going to put 3 hoops on there. So my vertical angles are also equal. So I'm going to put an A there as well. So right now we have A. But AAA was not in our list, so actually I can't prove this one. They are not congruent. Next up, if you look close, this angle has 1 kind of hoop to it, so does this one. So they're telling you that these are equal. This one's got 2, that one's got 2, so they're telling you those are equal. So it looks like I've got an angle matched up with an angle and another pair of angles right here. This one, because we already talked about it, has a shared side. So they both have this side, and so I get to just put a tick mark on them to make sure that I know that that side is congruent between those 2 triangles. So if I pulled those triangles apart, like I kind of drew up there, they both would have this side and then 2 angles. So now we have to decide, am I angle side or am I angle side angle? So if you were to trace your side, I'm just going to trace it from top to bottom. If I trace my side, the question is, does my side touch both of the A's, or does my side touch only one A? So as I draw this, I'm only hitting this one A. I don't hit that other one. So, and we're talking about just one triangle, by the way, not looking at both of them. So when I trace this side, or if I traced it here, I would only be touching that one A, not both. So if I'm only touching one A, it's got to be AAS. Excuse me. One more. I've got this mark and then this one, so I know that's an angle match. I've got the tick marks, that's nice, so I've got the sides matching. I don't have a shared side, not like this. The only place they really get close to each other is, again, touching at that middle point. So that's where they make that X, and so I know vertical angles, putting 2 marks on them, are congruent. So the question is, am I AAS or am I ASA? Those are my only options where I have 2 A's. So I'm going to trace my side. Remember, you're just looking at one triangle. And when I trace my side, do I hit both of my arc marks? This time I do. So since my side touches both A's, we are ASA, not AAS. Oh, excuse me. Just cannot stop coughing. List the corresponding parts of each pair of triangles, and then we're going to decide if they're congruent. So now I'm going to make you kind of write down what things are equal. So based on the picture, I can see it's real tiny, but they do have that arc mark in there, and they have the one there. So I know that angle M is congruent to angle T. They told me that. And then I know I should write given, sorry. And then I've got this tick mark with this one. So I'm going to name this side, which is going from M to A, is congruent to, and then since I started up at the top and went into the middle, I'm going to start at the bottom and go into the middle, so that'll be TA. That was also given to us. I didn't have to invent that. They marked the picture for me. So the other thing I have today, the two extra things you're looking for today are either reflexive property, which is shared side, or vertical angles. So do they touch each other at a point like that, or are they touching each other at a whole side? And this one is touching at a whole side. So I'm going to go ahead and double mark that. So now I know that AE is congruent to AE. That's the weird thing where you say something's equal to itself, and that's reflexive, or you could also say shared side. Okay, so now we've got an angle, we've got a side, and we've got a side. Oh no. Remember when you spell a word, that's probably not going to work out. So let's just double check. The only option this could be is if it is SAS, so we need our angle to be touching both sides. So when I trace out from my angle, trace and trace, I hit the 1 mark, but I don't hit the 2 mark. That's way over there. So it's not this, so these guys are not congruent. One more. I've got this arc mark and that one, so I know those are equal. This time we have to use 3 letters. I can't just say angle T. So we're going to say angle VTW is congruent to, and we started kind of off out in space, and then we came towards the 90. So we're going to start at S and come towards that 90, so SWT. That was given to us. I also see the box, so that's pretty nice. That's another angle, but I got to use 3 letters. So VWT is congruent to, so I went along the straight side to the 90 and then up the middle, so STW. Remember today you're either looking for vertical angles, meet at a point, or shared side, where they have a whole side between them. This has a whole side between it, so we're going to be able to say TW. And this is where it's going to get a little goofy. So from T to W, if I go from T to W, on this triangle, so imagine only looking at that one, you're going from the 90-degree angle to the 1 arc mark. So when I move over to the other triangle, I need to do that in the same way. So I need to go from the 90-degree to the 1 arc mark. So this is going to be WT. Looks funny because it's not the same. The letters aren't going the same way, but this is still reflexive. This is still shared side. You just have to label it that way so that it matches up. Because imagine if I were to take these 2 apart, this guy is flipped from that one. Another way I kind of tell kids is, do you feel like you could fold that in half like a butterfly and you would get the same thing on both sides? I don't think you would, because if you fold it on that line, this V is going to come right over here, so it's not overlapping. This one looks more like a butterfly. If I fold this over, it's going to land right on top of that. So that's why if this had letters, we'd be like AB equals AB. So when they can't make a butterfly, or when it's not going to fold perfectly, you need to switch the letters around. So we've got an angle, and a side, so we have 2 options. We could be angle, side, angle, or we could be angle, angle, side. So let's check and see what our side does. So our side is right here. And when I trace that, again, you're only looking at 1 triangle. When I trace that, you can't see it. Do I hit both of the angles, or do I just hit one of them? And I touch both angles. So since my side touches both angles, we are ASA, not AAS. So that's day 2. You're really focusing in on reflexive and vertical, kind of just another step to deciding if triangles are congruent.